question is to all of you, and it's about the general quality which you found yesterday at the show. Tamas, please.
Well, the general quality was as high as I expected to before I came to Russia, because first of all, I've been here many times, and I've judged the Russian dogs all over the world, and I always been very pleased. So I expected a high quality to get, and that's what happened.
Elizabeth?
Yes, and I agree with Thomas. I've been here several times, and I was always imposed by the high quality, and especially of the smooth. And I also saw some really, really nice dogs yesterday.
All of them?
World class. Not all of them, but some big stars.
Cesare?
Agree. Always in high quality when I am in Russia, and I'm very happy about this.
But you have judged it in Russia how many times? Never at the national. Before.
No, it was my
So
very
it's-
first time at
you're-
the National Club Show, yes.
But how many times in Russia with Dachshunds before?
Maybe 2-3 times, if I remember well.
Only 2-3 times. And
Yes.
How long ago the first time was?
What
When
is
you
it, like
judged-
20 years?
20 years ago, you
yes.
judged Dachshunds in Russia for the first
yes,
time.
yes.
And could you please tell us about the difference between the types and the quality that times and now?
Well, the difference is tremendous, because when I've been here in Russia in the 80s first time, even a Labrador tried to attack me in the showground. And then something like 10 years later, I came back and I couldn't believe in my eyes. So most of the breed was completely changed in the right direction. They learn how to groom, they learn how to handle, so it's becoming really a powerhouse of the FCI during a very short period. And also, I had a lot of Russian guests in my house. They used our stuff for stud, our dogs. Maybe it also helped a bit, but they was very, very informed where to go to use new bloodlines, and we didn't know them, and they knew us. That was touching sometimes when a person came by train for 2 days just
Yes.
to use one of my male and was standing in front of my door without knowing she's coming. And we had this kind of situation. It was very touching. And, you know, some of the breeders all over the world tend to forget you immediately after becoming successful. And these Russian breeders never did it. They always been, in a way, thankful for the help. I really like that.
Yes, thank you for your words, because it's really true. So I know this from this part, by the stories they tell us. And now it's almost impossible to believe that it was at the times when we didn't have internet, we didn't have anything.
Yes.
And they were looking for these photos somewhere, looking for these dogs, finding to whom they would like to go. And it was really not easy. But because of this, they made a big
improvement, and they knew what they want, and they had this, let's say, touch of a god. So they had a special talent for that. It's not only a paperwork, it's not only planning, it's about a touch of art. Because if you breed dogs, you create something like an artist, but it's a living material. So even the responsibility is different, because when the result is not good, this animal still has to live 10, 15 years. So you really do have a responsibility. You cannot play with that.
Yes, thank you very much. I know that you judged at the National 7 years ago, something like this, yes?
Might be, yeah.
Yes, I know, I remember. And that time you judged standards. Standard smooth, I'm sure.
Was it the first time when I visited Russia?
No, I think you know better. But you were at the National some years ago.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask you to compare the quality and the impression. of
Yeah.
the dogs, of the exhibitors, of the situation in the breed in whole here in Russia 7 years ago and now?
I'm not sure if I remember which show. I have been here, I think, 5 times judging in Russia. And I especially remember the first time I was here, and I saw those wonderful Mini Smooth and Kaninchen Smooth. And I especially remember one dog that went best in show under me, and I've never seen such a wonderful Mini before, nowhere. And now you're a bit spoiled. You see them everywhere around the world. So, of course, when I come here this time, I think they are wonderful as usual. That's what you are expected when you come to Russia. And I also have seen that they have improved enormously in almost every of the varieties of dachshunds. But standard smooth are also wonderful. And
Which is the best now in
Russia?
Russia? Yes.
Smooth, all sizes.
All sizes,
Yes.
smooth sizes.
And when I was here the first time, the long hair standard was only a few dogs and nothing compared to the rest of the world. But now they have improved enormously. And they also have they are so interested in looking for new bloodlines. They are very early on using internet and getting contact with other breeders. And I have also the same experience that people are coming, talking no other language but Russia, and came to Sweden, mating with my dogs, and you can't even talk to them. And they are so thankful and always send pictures and talks about what happened to the dogs. And I was getting close friends with all of those breeders you get in contact with. So,
But by the way, yesterday the second biggest entry was in standard long-haired.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because the biggest, as always, traditionally was the standard smooth, 66. But in standard long-haired we had something 54.
Yeah.
And in the second year in the row when we have such a big entry in standard long-haired. And some of those dogs are in touch with yours.
Yes.
Yes, you know.
Yeah.
And have you the possibility to look at them and maybe your impression about standard longs?
Yesterday?
Also yesterday.
Yes, I had a quick glance
Ah,
when
yeah.
I was ready in my ring.
Yes, I
and,
know.
I see the same problems that's in the rest of the world. Some of them are a little bit too big, too
A little
clumsy.
bit too big.
But strong dogs, happy dogs with good temperaments and nice
Most
movements.
of them.
They've improved, especially the temperament, and that's important for the breed.
Thank you very much. And Cesare, the same question to you. The difference between what you found 4 years ago when you judged it for the first time at our national and now.
It's my second national. I judged the first time 4 years ago, standard smooth, and I remember an high quality of dogs. Now I judged miniature and Kaninchen smooth, and the qualities was really, really very high, with fantastic movement. And what I remember 4 years ago, really nice dogs, but I think breeders have worked hard on movement, and I saw really fantastic movement.
This time.
Yes,
So this point became better
yes.
in all the varieties, or
In miniature and Kaninchen.
Smooth.
Smooth, yes.
and why do you think it's so important?
Yes, it's very important for the breed movement, of course, because it's an important part.
So you think they are going in the right direction,
Yes,
all of them,
all of them.
in whole, in total?
Yes, in total.
Which were the main problems yesterday? You gave some very good or not?
Yes, I gave, but the main problem was the size.
In miniature,
Yes,
Kaninchen?
miniature. Most, not lot of dogs, but I could find nice dogs, but oversized. And it was impossible to give the maximum classification to this dog. And it was a pity because they were a very built dog, very well built dog, but oversized.
How much oversized?
3-4 centimeters more.
And this was for very good, just for size.
Yes.
Do you want also to say something about sizes?
Yes, well, I have two addition. What Elizabeth said about the numbers of the different varieties and connecting with the Russian influence in the breed. I think first time ever happened in a World Show 2 weeks ago in Budapest. The highest entry was in Standard Smooth. I think it never happened before. And it's slightly and partly because of the Russian influence in the Dachshund breeds. We had almost 180 in the ring with two different judges. And about sizes, as you, I'm sure, know that the FCI made a commitment 2 years ago. We, within some certain circumstances, can mix the sizes in a breeding program. But I'm positively sure, Russian breeders did it before, and that was the way to improve the miniatures in the Kaninchen, because they put some standard bloodline in the benefit of the breed. So I appreciate that. I'm not against that, and that's why we do have this size problem. What Cesare meant, because it is really a problem. So as long as a Dachshund doesn't look like a standard, looks like a miniature, it can be more acceptable if it's a little bit bigger. But what's the difference between Kaninchen and miniature? Only the size. So we cannot really tolerate 35, 36 centimeter Kaninchens in the ring, which can happen not only in Russia, anywhere in the world. But we have to take it in that way. That was the way. This is one of the few breeds in the FCI now, I mean miniature and Kaninchen Dachshund, which are improving in quality. So that was the way to reach the same. But still, there are some limits. We have to keep it. I agree with you.
And which is the limit for you? For very good. The limit when you decide, no, this is already very good.
That's what I said. In my opinion, if there is a miniature, the standards say 2 centimeter tolerance. If we are talking about a miniature and 3-4 years old beautiful dog, which is 3 centimeter bigger, it's a different thing than having a 33 centimeter Kaninchen, because it's already a middle-sized miniature, you know. So first what we have to take in consideration is the quality. It can be an oversized dog with a certain quality you cannot ignore. But the question is, if you send a dog like that in the main ring as the best of breed, this dog belongs to this breed or not. So you have to think about it in that way. Usually I don't give any titles with an oversized dog. But it doesn't mean I'm not giving excellent if the quality asks for it. You know? But in Kaninchen I'm more strict, because why you don't enter your miniature in miniature? Why you enter your miniature as a Kaninchen? Because sometimes I have a feeling they think the competition is a bit more easy in Kaninchen, and I personally don't like this kind of game.
And I also think I don't only think of the measurement, because it's not exact, but I look at the size of the dog, and I can accept a little bit more, some centimeter more, if it's a big chest, big round, fully developed chest, than a very thin, big dog. That's for me more untypical. So it's not only the measurement, and the dog can be a little bit fat, there can be other problems, the shape of the
or
chest.
Or it can
and
be a
everything.
female.
Yeah. And that's a bit frustrating when you think of breeding those small varieties, that this is the same size, maximum size for a female and a male. And for me, if you breed from those big females, they get even bigger males, sons. So it's also something to think
maybe
about.
Measurement is not so important as the type.
No, size is important, because especially between Kaninchen and miniatures, because then there are two different breeds. or at least varieties of the breed. So of course it's important, but for me it's not only the measurement, because you have to look at the whole dog, how big it is, and the shape of the chest, and how old the dog is, and how fat it is, and all those things.
Because we will not prefer a skinny dog
No.
over a well-conditioned dog just because the size is better. And also what Elizabeth mentioned, in any variety of the dachshund, we want to have a well-ribbed up body. So this elliptic rib cage, even if the size is better, it doesn't make any dachshund better.
No.
Because even a Kaninchen has to have a well-sprung ribs. That's very important.
I understood that the winners yesterday were really good, but of course you found some faults in your rings. And maybe you can tell us about the main problems you would advise us to improve in the breed here. Please, Tamas.
Faults, if we can talk about different categories of faults. I mean, anatomy. Front is a problem in many of the varieties. The front assembly, the elbows, the parallelism, the nice clean pasterns, which is essential for me. I can't stand wrinkles on the pasterns. It's a kind of type which I don't like. I find quite a few with that fault. The other question is, because you are here in Russia and everywhere in the world in a turning point in this breed, because especially in Russia you used all the different types to create this lovely quality, but now it's about time to decide which type you want to go further, because we find every single existing type and some very nice mixture between the types in the ring. So, but the question is what the next generation will bring for us. Which type do you prefer? I'm not type blind, because I also use different types to get the bloodline what we used to have. But if you look at the head shape, the balance of the bodies, we've seen, I think, all of us, a lot of differences. The new tendency, especially in the standard smooths, and it's coming from different continents. They have a rather narrow, long head with a pretty expression and a lovely, built but slightly bit too long body, and disturbing balance between the head and the body. This nice head in many cases are too small for this also lovely body. So this balance, it's coming from different bloodlines. I don't want to name them, of course. And that's the next question, how to correct this, because a dachshund is not a pretty elegant breed. They need a head, they need an underjaw, that's another question. A strong underjaw, otherwise they will be killed by the fox, not the fox will be killed by them. So these are the points, we have to deal with it, and I just hope the next generation is not just up to what's going to happen by fortune, but breeders wants to reach some aim about it, and I wish them luck to get it.
Elizabeth?
What I found, I judged mini wires and Canadian wires yesterday, and I think the biggest problem there was, except for the sizes, are the coat quality. There were some really bad, almost naked dogs showing up yesterday, and I know perhaps mini wires are the most complicated breed to breed, well, the Dachshund varieties, because you have these coat problems. They are not so homogeneous as many of the others, so it's a giant problem. And I think also that influences from other continents have also damaged the coat quality on the wires. So that's what I think. Then I'm not so very fond of those many different colors. I don't care very much about colors, but dappled wires is perhaps not what I wish them to work with. But the real nice old-fashioned wild boar with excellent coat quality, that's what I look for. And I also found a few of them yesterday.
You were
Mostly
lucky.
the good size, yes.
Perfectly in size and
The one-
good quality.
Yes, yes.
Your winners. And what
The
about
junior male.
your long head?
I also see the big problems with the different types, and they are so diverse. There are some of them, the more, I don't mention where from, but with lovely coats, expression, top lines, and absolutely no body under this coat when you feel. No chest, too short, too flat on the rib cage. And there are some more, I say, too long and too flat backs, and some of them a bit oversized, and also very often dappled or black and tan. So there are so different types. And of course I also wish something in between. That would be best.
Just there is the same question about faults in your ring yesterday.
I agree with Thomas about anatomic problem, anatomic fault, particularly about pastel. This was the main problem. But I judged yesterday miniature and Kaninken smooth, and for me the main fault was the temperament. Nice dog, but with not a strong temperament. And someone of them was afraid of himself. Very, very a pity, because I found really well-built dog, an anatomic build, well done, but with a lot of problem in temperament. This is for me the main fault I found yesterday. And for a dachshund, temperament is not a secondary problem. It's very important.
Even for a Kaninchen.
Yes, even for a Kaninken.
You want to add something
Oh,
about
yes.
Kaninchens? Yes.
No, the
Why
temperament
not Kaninken?
itself.
Why
Yeah.
not Kaninken?
It's number one.
I mean, when you buy a dog, your family decide to buy a purebred dog, they want to buy a certain look, outlook, and also certain temperament they wish for. So temperament is really one of the most important thing. And it used to be an even bigger problem, I have to tell you, from Russian bred dogs before, something like 8-10 years ago. These dogs been famous to come to the other part of the continent and being scared. I mean, and these temperament problems are hereditary. It's carried on generation by generation. And that's why I always test the temperament in a very slight way in the ring. I mean, I'm not putting
No, you're not.
book down to the floor, but I always put my open palm in the front of the dog. And I think a dachshund is not everybody's dog. Interested, sniffing my hand and going back. That's the perfect one. Also, if the dog ignores me, I can accept that. I don't ask a dachshund to jump into my hand because it's not a cocker spaniel, but it also can be all right. But when this very small interconnection makes the dog afraid and scared, I never give better than good.
Better than good? So
No, better than
even not very good for temperament.
Yeah, yeah. Because in my country we can breed with a dog with very good, and I don't think these dogs can be bred from. It's important. You're right. Actually, in my ring in Standard Smooth, I didn't really find this a big problem yesterday. I had maybe 2 or 3. He was really more than I would expect or accept, more afraid.
But are you equally strict to Kaninchen and to standard?
Oh yes.
Because
But even versus the miniature and Kaninchen, they have some, we all know that, some terrier blood. They are more active, they are more sure of themselves, they are more macho, they are signing your house, sometimes going around, the males, they have to be like that. They cannot be shy, because even small dogs like miniature or Kaninchen are more companion dogs. People buy them for the kid. People buy them for their own pleasure. How to live together with a scared, frustrated dog, this is not good.
Elizabeth.
I totally agree. That's the most important thing, and the dog's attitude is. And I also, when I start in a ring, I go and say hello to every dog on the floor. I can accept if they're not behaving properly on the table with an unexperienced handler, but they should be able to say hello on the floor. It's important. It's a daily situation for a dog, and more important than anything else, size, type, whatever. So.
But is this because dachshunds are hunting dogs, or just because you said that they must be okay with the family and outside in behavior?
So the temperament is important, especially because the purpose we breed this breed and we want to get them needs a real courage and self-confidence. How to fight with a fox, or how to make the work, how to follow the blood of a wild boar without being encouraged. So that's important, and nowadays in a civilized world, any of the dogs has to be able to live together with strange people, foreign people. So without it, the breed will be endangered, especially nowadays when politicians love to act against dogs. We don't want to put dachshund in this situation. Thanks God we are very far from that, but we have to be careful, and it's important. Yeah.
How do you think the problems about which you said are the specific Russian problems, or they are typical for Europe in whole now in breed?
I should say it's typical for Europe in all. The quality of the dachshund in Russia are extremely high compared to the rest of the world, I should say. There are so many nice dogs here, and of course the breeders have the same problem as everyone else. And especially if the Russians are so interested in using the best dogs from wherever in the world, they also got this problem of mixed types, of different types, and have to choose their way on which type they really prefer and what is correct compared to the standard. So I think that we have the same problems. The world are getting smaller all the time, and the connection between breeders are enormous. You know everything the next day or even the same evening on Facebook. So I think we share the same problems and have to work together to get out of them.
That's why I asked. So you think now we are going together in the same direction, more or less?
Yes.
Cesare?
Yes, temperament is the same problem all over Europe, not only in Russia. And this is the fault that all breeders have to improve. They have to do something better to improve this temperament.
And you know, the situation of the Russian breeders has changed dramatically. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, they had a responsibility for themselves. And now, because they have this leading role in the breed all over the world, they have the responsibility for the breed. Yeah, but it's really, really a very, very difficult responsibility. They have to live with that, because the next generation of dachshund will be decided, the big majority here in Russia. So that's why we try to drive them in the way, like keep the right type. Don't change totally the type of the dachshund. They're working on that very well, because they still have, so you have to combine different types to get the benefits from each of that. Of course, you need to have a tremendous luck for that as well. But it looks like you do have luck here. Even if you use the so-called American type to get an elegant neck, full chest, long upper arm, movement and top line. Now you could manage to get all of these benefits without being the dogs too short on legs, too low to the ground. Now you have the benefits and even the better proportion, because your dogs, generally speaking, are not short on legs, which is very important. And now the next step to get them a bit shorter somehow in body and to get the head type back. It can happen because I've seen many dogs here with a proper triangle, so-called German, I don't know, can we call still it German, but I think because that's how this breed was created, this German kind of head with a nice wide skull and still well chiseled without being coarse and too deep. So that's the next step. And if the breeders, with the help of the judges, choose another direction, the breed itself will be in trouble. Not Russia, but the breed. So the situation is really changing. All the eyes looking for you now. What are you doing in the next generation? And we try to help the judges.
Yes.
Not easy.
No.
Not easy to accept what your words, because what you said, that now Russia is responsible for German breed.
More or less.
More or less.
Yeah.
And I also will fill in the responsibility of the judges, and that's what's really important. And for example, temperament, to even if a dog is or whatever beautiful, if a temperament is not correct, you shouldn't put it, because that's the most important thing. And that's what we can do when we are judging all over the world, to help the breeders to choose the best animals for continuing breeding.
And thank you for doing this.
And I mean, I've been asked several times in different breeds what I think and can consider a beautiful dog. Is it totally subjective or not really? And I think it's not really. Judging dogs is an emotional matter, because a dog can catch my attention or not. But what we can call beautiful, or we can call beauty, is a dog which seems to be able to do the work, the purpose he was bred for. And a temperament and anatomy which we think is ideal to do this work, that's what we can call beautiful. So, you know, a dog without a proper temperament belongs to the breed cannot be really beautiful. It's just good looking, but we don't call them beautiful, because if it's scared, that's not beautiful.
You mentioned about the difference of types, and I would like you to explain to us what you mean by difference and how you understand the types in America and in England and here in Europe. The difference between types and what is good in the American type, if there is something good. In English type, and what we want to take from there, if we want to take something. Cesare.
I think that Thomas can answer before me, even about American type.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
Very fair.
No.
Well, actually,
I said something before about
Yes,
Yes.
he said. He did.
Yes.
That's why I
I
asked.
said something as well.
Yes.
yeah, I've been all over the world and I've seen all the different types. And I think in order to be a good judge, you have to understand and you have to appreciate the benefits in each type, even if you are a breeder. I mean, in our breeding program, in my kennel, we used every single type as a drop of blood. And I think it makes us successful in those days. When you are breeding, when you are judging, the things you are going to, that's a quality. You have to feel it. It's a quality dog. So we do have at least 3 or 4 different types. Let's start with the German type.
Let's start.
because that's a German breed. It's still, I think, we have to go back to the German type, but to get the benefits from all the other types, which is the nice triangle-shaped head with a wide skull, not too large ears, not too short for face, and a nice almond-shaped eyes. Those are essential. But the muzzle cannot be too deep, but also we cannot lose the underjaw from some other type, because with the too much Roman nose we are losing underjaw, and it's very important, not just because of the beauty, but because of the purpose of the job to do. In German type, they're more workman-like dogs, a bit shorter, stronger neck, good fore chest, a bit shorter upper arm, what we don't really like, but shorter in body and not too deep. Always with a good tail set. We don't want to get a terrier top line for a dachshund. We want to get a bit more low tail set, which is not really low, but not right on the back, and a correct tail carriage, which is also a problem, with a nice rounded croup and a nice low tail carriage. Those are the benefits and a lot of substance from the German type. If you breed German type to German type for generation and generation, that's what we did in my kennel, you will get some problems then, mostly anatomical problems coming. So that's why we had to use some American blood, because these dogs are more elegant. They have a longer neck, they also have a lovely fore chest, longer upper arm, a bit longer body and more deep in body. So they are slightly shorter on the ground, but they have a movement and the top line to die for. Very showy, very attractive. But as sacrificing, they have a different head. They have more narrow skull, longer, elegant head, still nice eyes, but sometimes too much Roman nose and lacking the underjaw, which is, as I mentioned, a problem. And then we do have the British type. British type has never had. Nowadays, it's a question: can we call a British type, because they also mixed several types, and this British types, I think, it's losing in many variety. They never have such a long neck. They are more, can we call them short, a bit shorter neck. The head is proper in that way. The skull is wide, but they have more stop, more rounded forehead, which is not during the FCS standard. They are a bit shorter on legs, more low to the ground, but they never so long. They have a more proper length of the body. The movement is a question. Sometimes they are very good, sometimes not so. Nowadays in England, they do have especially in standard smooths, they do have Australian bloodline and dogs from New Zealand. And it's a new trend. You also do have this kind of type here, which means a rather nice head, a bit narrow skull, a lovely, a bit too long body, and the mass of the head doesn't really fit to the mass of the body. The head looks a bit too small for that body. So that's disturbing, because a balance, after the type, a balance is very important in any breed. And when the balance is not there, you can call the dog out of balance. It means, for first sight, something disturbing for you. So now that's your job to do here in Russia, to combine all of these benefits to get back to the German type with a bit more elegant
and upper arm.
And upper arm and all these benefits. Yeah, that's my opinion.
And as I understand, Thomas, I agree totally. You're talking very much about the smooth. I can complete a little about the long hairs and what I see in different types. at first, when I get to think of the German type or Dutch type or what we have before, there are especially red, long hairs, beautiful top line, excellent expression, and wonderful coat, and tail carriage as well. But they are having been inbreeding for so many generations and never get any new blood. So what you see today is they are lacking very much about fore chest or the ribbing of the rib cage at all is flat rib sides, and also very often lacking on temperament. They are shy and not any courage anymore in the dogs. So what you can find, especially in the American dogs, they have lovely temperament. Of course they are oversized, especially the standards. They only have 2 sizes in America, and their miniatures are something between Caninchin and miniature here, an excellent size for me. And what I wish for the future is that we only have 2 sizes in the Dachshunds, because it's so difficult to breed Caninchin. That's all we have talked all the time, that the problems are the size all the time. It would be much more easy only to have 2 sizes to breed from. And you have bigger populations to breed from, and that was I wish. I don't think it would ever happen, but that was I wish. It would be easier for the breeder if they only have 2 sizes. And what else you get from the American dogs, especially long hairs, standard, those are the best ones. The minis are not so good. Even in America you see some shy dogs and with not the nice heads and some strange colors that we are not used to and not like in the FTA standard. But the standards are really nice, with beautiful heads, lots of angulations, oversized, yes they are, but not so low to the ground anymore. And they also, when you see them moving, they are not clumsy, not heavy, they are really good movers. They have not so good coats, not so good colors as the German bloodlines, but they are important for the breed to improve and get new blood, because you can't continue that inbreeding. You see it in every breed. When the populations are too small, you get problem. Nervous dog, lots of diseases and whatever comes from that. And you can't improve the type if you don't have different dogs. If every dog looks the same, you can't improve your breeding. And about the English one, they have not so good heads. They have a bit round eyes. They have broader skulls, so in that way it's correct, but more stop. And they have also not so nice coats, and lots of coats, and low to the ground. Very often good angulations, but a bit clumsy as we see them. But I think you have to use whatever any country can produce just to get new bloodlines to continue to breed from, and stop that inbreeding that, especially in the varieties that are not so big populations, you get problems anyway.
I would like to ask about your speech. Don't you think that the qualities you mentioned in the long hair standard in America are because sometimes they use a smooth standard with long hair? They add the smooth bloods to get this angulation, to get this movement and temperament.
I'm quite sure of which breed is the best one, because in my opinion the long hair standard are the best variety in America today. And they have better temperament in general than the smooth. And I think the exaggerations in too thin lower jaws, too low to the ground, there are more to see in the standard smooth than in the long hairs. That's my opinion today.
Okay, thank you. Cesare, about the types.
I totally agree with, because, for example, talking about long hairs, in Italy we have super breeders of long hairs, but they are going on working in breeding. And they are doing nice dog, but with problems about shoulders and about sizes, because they are not working using outcoming dog, especially from America. I am talking about long hairs. And they are not doing a nice job about long hair dogs. This is, especially in Italy. I can talk this about this.
And about other varieties?
No, not the problem about varieties, about Wyatt and most goods, but especially about long hair.
So they have to add,
Yes.
really, you agree?
Yes.
So just a personal thing. Before we open the door of our kennel, we also inbred a lot from a certain very good German bloodline. But in most of the breeds, maybe the difference is just the whippet. If you are inbreeding, your dog's becoming more and more refined, losing the substance, losing the bones, losing the forces, and then you start to get problem with the teeth, the bite, the number of the teeth. So that it was a certain point when we had to deal with that, to continue like that, which is pretty dogs, but losing important details, or to open the door and to get some of the bloodline to come in. And that's where we started to use English and American bloodline. And of course, for that, you need to know where to go. Which are those American or British dogs which can be useful. And then you need your luck and your money. It's all included in any kind of success. And the problem is nowadays in many breeds, also in Dachshund, the young people want to win with the first generation.
Yes,
immediately.
they want.
At least groups, maybe even best in show. And you have to have your patience. And you have to have your ground to keep dogs. You have to be able to keep an in-between generation in your garden, which maybe is not so attractive, not gonna win world winner titles, but because the combination you can count on them as the mother of your next world winner. For that you need to have money, you need to have a big place, you need to have a family who support you, and neighbors to accept it.
But what Elizabeth said about two varieties, two size varieties, do you agree or not? Tomasz?
I think so.
Yes.
I quite like in this way, I quite like the American system, which I don't like in the American system. They compete together. Standard, I did Yukon Urban National 2 years ago. Standard and miniature compete together for the one same title.
I know.
That's what I don't like. But what I said, if a miniature looks like a miniature, I don't really need to measure. So if we should have two sizes, I think it's better now because of the FCI decision. The sizes can be breed together. Avoid a little bit to get this bottleneck effects, which makes the gene pool smaller and smaller and smaller, because if the sizes are bred together, bred by separatedly, I mean the bloodline of the gene pool of the Kaninchens getting very, very small. So it opened the door a little bit. But honestly, I don't think, like Elizabeth said, is going to happen. As far as I know, the German Dachshund Club started behind the scene working for the size number 4, which is one size bigger.
One size bigger,
As
yes,
far
I
as
know this idea.
So, and the tendency goes in a different way, not the way we talked about. We'll see.
And a couple of words about the winners in your breeds, the top winners, and about your best in show, about your podium. Your impressions about the dog in all the main ring, and some words about the winners.
I had 9 super dogs in my best in show, and very strong in temperament, all super dogs. My third was a standard smooth, a very eye-catching dog, a super movement, an excellent type, a very, very nice dog. I judged him before in Russia and outside. He was my best in group in Innsbruck, I remember. A really nice dog. The second the best in show was a Kaninken wire. A very nice girl. I judged him before several. But yesterday she had a lot of hair hunter. The quality of the coat is perfect, but I think a lot of coat under. My best in show was a Kaninken Smooth, and I was very pleased to find a really functional, beautiful, sound, and good moving girl. I loved her. I think she's a very, very nice Kaninken type with a fantastic movement.
So was it easy to choose the first one yesterday? Between of them, all of them, but
not easy, absolutely. But the three was the super.
Do you know those dogs, and do you agree with the choice yesterday?
Oh yes, I mean, I judged all of these three, and not only those three, several times before. And the standard smooth was best of breed under me at the World Show last year, and then he won the group. Beautiful dog, and I gave several best in show to the second one last time St. Petersburg last year. And the little Kaninchen, I mean, I've seen her first time in my life last year at the European Dog Show, and I immediately awarded her the Junior Best in Show of the European Show. And some of my colleagues said you had to have some balls to give it this title for such a small, smooth-haired dog, but she'd been asked for that. I mean, she is perfect in many ways. It's amazing. So I would like to take her home and to sleep together with her. She's really something special. And my own winners, I mean, in my breed, the standard smooth, been absolutely gorgeous, male and female, and not only the winners, but some of the others as well. Actually, the male and female was the same. The winner was the same than last year at the World Show when I did the breed. They are half brother and sister from the father side, but from different kennel. And the bitch was one of the most beautiful I've ever seen standing, but this male really asked me to give best of breed when he moves around the ring. I couldn't really ignore or this quality of ring presence. He had the showmanship as well. Only that much that we would need. We don't want to have a dachshund moving around the ring like an Afghan hound. It's also not typical. Like some of the dogs in certain part of the continent do it, and some people say, how wonderful. I say, I don't think it's wonderful because that's not the movement which belongs to the breed. So I was very pleased with my winners.
So the winners were
And
the
his
same?
winners as well.
But I can't forget that the standard smooth was my best of breed 4 years ago.
4 years ago,
And then-
as a national, yes.
so
He
the same.
was
Yes.
the same.
Yes.
And
Must be boring.
maybe not. But and the winners yesterday, the first and the second, were the same, and the group winners in Budapest in the World Dog Show.
Yes,
So
that's right.
maybe really Russia is responsible for the breed now, because
And it means in Budapest we also had good judges at the beach.
And I would like to ask you to say a couple of words about the show itself, about the organization, about how many dogs you saw yesterday, and so on. Elizabeth, please.
Of course, every time when I got an invitation from Russia to judge Dachshund, it's a holiday for me because that's my favorite breed, and you always know that you get some really, really nice dogs. And the organization are perfect, and lots of entries, and it's really a nice weekend all the time to come to Russia and see all those beautiful dogs, and always wishing to find something new. I've also seen all those winners and also judged them before, and every time you hope to see something even better than that, a new upcoming star. That's what you wish for when you can.
And did you find someone?
They are so extremely good. They are world-class dogs, so of course it's difficult to find something even better. But some juniors were quite nice, hopefully.
Thank you, let's hope. But the winners were the same. Have you found someone new to hope for the future? In the junior classes, in puppy classes?
Personal
Yeah,
me, yes,
personal
I did.
you.
Yes,
Because
I did.
I'm asking about
Actually-
Smooth Standard.
Actually, my best junior was a brown male. I had not possibility to look at the catalog since, but it
Best in group junior in Budapest.
was the same
It
dog.
was the same dog.
I don't know that, but it's really
In Budapest, you also had a
again.
good judge.
Yes, of course. It really, the quality of the puppy classes and then the junior class was very high. In the CC show, I did mini smooths with much less entry than at the national, but my best breed was a junior male. It was also beautiful. So the hope is still here. I told you that's your responsibility. Live with it. We ask you to live with it.
But you have to check and to come every year, all of you, and to check our work and our responsibility, and then you will help us to live with this,
We are ready with that, for that.
catching you on word. And about organization, a couple of words.
Always a nice organization, a nice organizer. Everything is always okay. Nothing more to say. I am always very happy when I am in Russia. Always.
Thanks to you all, and I hope to see you in our next shows.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don't be afraid.
We should say
No, not. Doesn't mean you have to sit closer, because, but you have
I'm
to.
very close to this style.
Which style?
Kremlin.
Kremlin.
Gremlin or Kremlin?
Kremlin. Kremlin.
You need your shoe because of Khrushchev.
One by one, all of you. Хорошо.
Start from her. Once.
It's all right.
Yes.
No, doesn't matter.
Because you are lazy. He's talking for everyone.
Yeah, I don't want
So-
it really.